Welcome to another episode of The Financially Free Investor, where you will learn information and strategies on how to become financially independent by investing in real estate, something that is not taught openly in our society today. Financial freedom matters so you can live a bigger life, retire early, and do what matters most to you. Get ready to hear tried and true methods to becoming financially free with your host, Jordy Clark.
Hey everyone, welcome into another episode of the Financially Free Investor Podcast. Today I wanted to jump on and talk about the 3 ways I overcame the fear of investing. So a couple of years ago when I started investing, we had to overcome a lot as far as we had to dig ourselves out of a hole of debt. And it was like credit card debt and consumer debt and really just all of the bad debt that we talk about. And we kind of hopped on the Dave Ramsey bandwagon, just got really good about watching our expenses, watching our income, and paying those bad things off. And so once we kind of got past that, I had this fear of using debt. If you've ever listened to him, you can imagine why. And I had this other mentor, and he was like, "Hey man, debt can be a good thing." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, man. We in the past haven't been perfect." And he's like, "You know what? It's all good. Let me kind of show you." And he maybe walked alongside us a little bit and gave us some tips, tricks, and strategies on how we could use debt to be good debt and a tool for building wealth versus just using it on the consumer treadmill like most people do, and go to RC Willey or Home Depot and spending $2,000 or $3,000 and then thinking we're going to pay it off over the next 3 years. And then we're just making minimum payments, and that's just a path to nowhere good. So anyways, I had a lot of fears. Courtney had a lot of fears, and we really didn't want to slip back into the spending more than we made trap, kind of that whole part of the rat race, right? Where it's just you digging yourself deeper, deeper, deeper in a hole and never really getting out. So, and I can definitely empathize with anyone that's in that position right now because it's tough. Our society teaches us, hey, you have to consume, right? Like you've got these luxury cars and you've got all these influencers or celebrities or whatever that they're driving Ferraris and these $1 million cars, living in these huge mansions, and then everyone tries to live up to that next standard of living that they think they need. So we really didn't want to slip into that and be in the rat race with the Joneses, if you will. So the first thing I did when I was on this path after we got out of debt was I found a mentor. And this particular mentor was local to where I was at, and he had a coaching program. So at the time, I can't even remember what it was now. At the time, it was a big deal. It was probably only a few $1,000s for like a 1-year membership, and it included certain things. And at the time, I was like, holy cow, $3,000, it's a lot of money. And don't get me wrong, I still think that $3,000 is a lot of money. What I didn't realize was I wasn't spending the money to get some recordings, right? I wasn't just blowing this money because, I got a tax return. Like we had saved up. And this was first point in time where I really found out the value of investing in yourself. So I had paid for this mentor coaching program. And it wasn't one-on-one or anything. It was just a group coaching program. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I believe in myself. I think this guy can teach me what I need to know. And so I signed up. And, I talked to Courtney about it before because, again, we were very, very frugal. And that was a lot of money at the time. So any big decision, and still today, we try to make it together. So I make this decision. I invest in myself. And at the time, I didn't know I was investing in myself. I was just like, look, I'm joining this coaching program because he's going to teach me how to do this. And he definitely taught me a lot. It also gave me the confidence to be able to go and start investing. He was teaching on flipping, fixing and flipping, which, HGTV, we started watching HGTV shows and started watching, how these house flips are going. And I was like, man, I'm all in on this. So, we kind of inched the ball forward through this mentorship program. And for months, I showed up to the calls and I was there. I was present. I was learning. He even had a bunch of like other videos that he had pre-recorded and other classes he taught and whatnot. And I watched those, every single one. I watched them. I actually watched them 2 or 3 times in that first year because I was stuck at a job and I had a little bit of downtime in my job. So I was like, I'm going to watch this. I'm going to invest this time in myself. I paid for this coaching program and I'm going to show up and, if I pay for something, I value it. And I watched the videos. And as time progressed, I gave him a call, asked him, hey, what should I do here? And because of that coaching program, I had access to him where maybe I wouldn't have had that same access. So we started implementing, and that really got us down the road of getting closer and closer to flipping. We finally did our first, real flip where it wasn't necessarily me doing all the work. I did some of the work, and he really helped teach and frame how I should not do the work, how I should just, be the pilot, and I don't have to be the engine, if you will. So we went through that coaching program, and that really gave me a lot of confidence. And interestingly enough, after talking to Courtney, years later, she saw me putting in the work and she saw me putting in the time. And I'd come home and I'd talk to her and I'd be like, hey, I just watched this video. This is what, in this video series of this coaching program, this is what he talked about. What do you think? Right? So I was relaying the information to her. Cool enough, thing happened. She saw me putting in the time. She saw me putting in the effort. And it gave her the confidence that I wasn't just going to go willy-nilly, like do whatever. Like I knew at least enough to get the ball rolling. Granted, she knew I didn't know everything. I still don't know everything, but it gave both of us the confidence to take that next step. Well, when you're looking at a journey that's, say, 1,000 miles, all you have is the next step. And so often I think that we get caught up in the, oh, well, what happens if I do this and then this happens and then that happens and this happens, and all of a sudden, like in our minds, we've just created this illogical chain of events that will probably never happen. If it does, like it's probably not going to happen in the order we think it is. And, we'll end up rolling with it and dealing with it however it happens, but we just get too negative on ourselves sometimes. So that was the first step is I found a mentor. I invested in myself and I joined his coaching program. And again, I really want to stress this because so often people just look at it like, oh, well, you're just spending money or you're just wasting money. But that kind of stuff is an investment in yourself. And that same mentor, fast forward a couple of years, we were out to dinner and he told me that he and his wife invest 10% of their annual income in self-development. So they're investing 10% of everything they make into self-development in one way or another. And that is so important because you are your greatest asset. Your knowledge is something that can never be taken away. Doesn't matter what happens in the government or, in the world today or tomorrow, or, if taxes go up to 80% or just whatever, your knowledge stays with you. So I found a mentor, joined his coaching program. The second thing I did was I went to local real estate investor meetups consistently. And because I started going and started showing up, I started having different conversations with people. I'd go up to someone after the meeting and say, hey, hi, I'm Jordy. What do you do in real estate? And they'd tell me, and we start a conversation, and then deals started happening because of that. And I still to this day do deals with guys that I met at those real estate investor association meetings. In fact, I just bought a fourplex off market from somebody that I met 5 years ago at a real estate investor association meeting. And you can find those. You just Google it, REIA. It stands for Real Estate Investor Association. If you're local here in Salt Lake, it's Sloria, SLREIA, or UVREIA, UVREIA. And, depending on where you're at in the valley, you can go to those once a month, meet with people, you get knowledge. And again, that's another thing, right? Like these are evening meetings that my wife saw me going to. So I would communicate with her, hey, I am going to this meeting. I need your support to stay home, watch the kids, do whatever, right? As we just coordinate our life. And she saw me putting in the work. So that was one more step that we both started feeling a little bit more comfortable. And the third thing is I got around people who thought it was normal to buy investment properties. And this is probably the most important because you can have the best mindset in the world, you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't implement, it means absolutely nothing. And if you do implement and you've got people around you that are like crabs in a bucket, just grabbing you down when you're trying to crawl out and build this better life and build wealth and build passive income so that you can leave a job so you can go, on a nationwide road trip with your kids when they're 15 or whatever, will be so many people that tell you some story of somebody they once knew that bought a rental once upon a time and they had to deal with leaky toilets or bad tenants, and you'll just hear all these nightmares. And I believe that that person's probably coming from love, where they don't want to see you go down a negative path. What they don't realize is they're putting doubt and fear and anxiety into your mind. And unfortunately, that will prohibit a lot of people from taking the next step forward and improving their life, improving their financial situation. And so you can't get around the naysayers. So I got around people that, and this is true anytime I needed to level up, I got around people who they were like, hey, it's normal for me to flip 5 houses a year. And I got around them enough, and I started going to lunch or dinner or, talking to them at the Real Estate Investor Association meetups, and all of a sudden, like I started feeling like, man, I really got to get another flip because so and so is doing 5 flips a year, and I have only done one, right? So like, man, I really want to get another one. And then it just one step forward, one foot in front of the other, and slowly, this took years, but slowly we got to the point where we're here. And now on average, we flip a house a month. We've got 28 rental properties currently that we own. I have another 22 under contract, and I'm constantly looking for more deals. I'm constantly doing more, and people are like, man, how do you have the courage? And this is why I think it's so important that I relay this information to you, because it happens slowly, and then all of a sudden, for everyone else, it happens in the blink of an eye, because they don't realize those little steps that you start taking in those monthly meetings that you go to month after month after month, until all of a sudden you're 2 or 3 years down this path, that instead of hanging out and watching Dancing with the Stars or whatever TV show is popular, like you show up once a month to a nightly meeting and invest in yourself and learn. And then all of a sudden they look at you and they're going, hey, you're flipping 10 houses a year, and it really didn't take that much work to get to where we're at. It just took dedication, and it took time and consistency. So those were the 3 ways I overcame the fear of investing, and I helped my wife, my lovely, lovely wife, also overcome the fears and anxieties she had. I found a mentor and joined his coaching program, and then I put in the work. I put in the time. And then I went to local real estate investor meetups consistently. I put in the work. I put in the time. And then third thing is I got around people who thought it was normal to be doing more. And that has happened multiple times as we've grown. Instead of getting around people that are like, hey, I bought one rental property, I'm getting around people who are like, hey, I bought an 8-plex. Hey, I bought a 26 unit apartment. Hey, I bought a 45 unit apartment. Hey, I just bought a 252 unit apartment, right? These are the conversations that I'm surrounding myself with now, because I'm ready to push to the next level. But to do that, I need to expand my world and give opportunities to other people. So I don't want to get on too many tangents, but those are the 3 ways that I overcame the fear of investing. And I really, truly hope that it helps you combat your fears and just help somebody else who is on this path, who wants a better life, who wants some passive income, who wants options in the future. And, as kind of just a little teaser, I will be starting a free weekly coaching call where anyone can join. And for 30 minutes, I'm going to give my time and do what this mentor did for me, for you and anyone else. So if you want to be on that list, you've made it this far, however long I've been rambling, please email coaching to the financially free investor at gmail.com. Once again, email coaching to the financially free investor at gmail.com, and we will put you on the list. This should be coming out in the next month or two. And doesn't matter where you're at. You can be in Kansas, you can be in New York, you can be in Salt Lake, you can be in Provo, you can be in Florida. The important thing is I want you to be taking the next steps towards financial freedom. This podcast is one way I can help. This coaching call is one way I can help. And it's all free, by the way. So please share this with someone that you might think would be open to taking their next steps towards financial freedom, someone that's looking to buy more rental properties and doesn't know where to go. I would love to help them through all of these channels that we're doing. So with that, I'm going to sign off. You guys have a great day.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of The Financially Free Investor. If you found value in this episode or know someone who would find value in this information, please share with them, subscribe, and send us a review.